we're going to be airing disc 1 on July 30th and then disc 2 on July 31st. You said in your book that you went out in Halloween as Roddy Piper. What was it like working with a childhood hero like that?
So I dressed as Roddy Piper in, I guess it was 6th grade, and I actually showed him the picture at one point in meeting Roddy. And I also, my other Roddy interaction as a kid. You're going to make me do this, right? So I used to stand out back in the Meadowlands Arena and wait to see the wrestlers. I mean, I try to get autographs and get pictures, but I just wanted to see them. This was at a time when wrestlers didn't look like baseball players. They looked like, the circus was in town. So I just wanted to stand in awe of these guys that I watched on television every week. So the car pulls up, and maybe Orton's driving and Roddy's in the passenger seat. So I stick my head in and I tell him he was wrestling Bruno Sammartino that night. Or maybe a tag match with Bruno and his son, some combination. So I begin to tell Roddy in a very inappropriate, culturally inappropriate, I am 30% Italian, as 23andMe tells me, about, can you talk to the ref about the oil, about the grease, that it's probably should be considered a foreign object. And Roddy turns to me and smiles and goes, "You're going to take my job someday." And they drove in. That's all I needed. I could have died right there. I don't know. I wonder if I even told him about that when I worked with him on Timeline. That was one of those things where, when I sit down, it's all business. And but there are times, I have to tell you, that it is harder to stay engaged. Some of it has to do with the talent that I'm talking to, but other times it has to do with the time period. There's just not enough interesting stuff going on behind the curtain and on screen when I'm doing a timeline in the 2000s. However, timeline 1984 with Roddy Piper, where we get to talk about the coconut with Snuka, Frankie Williams getting smacked around on the set, and Dave Wolf, Cyndi Lauper, to be able to hear all this from his mouth, working with Hogan, going over the whole, I'm not jobbing to you, you're not jobbing to me, behind the scenes. And it was engaging. It was a double disc, and obviously it's 2 release dates. So the thing was probably 3 or 3.5 hours. I probably could have done 6 hours with Roddy. It was that good. I was that engaged. I was not anything but a passionate fan for those entire 3 hours. And yeah, the Bruno thing. I'm sorry, guys. I was 12. I was a dick. So it was that engaging. The other thing I'd be remiss to not mention, there is a very not so veiled allusion to Roddy Piper doing something uncomfortable as a 16-year-old wrestler with Pat Patterson in California. Now, I had no idea this was coming. I didn't obviously write it. It just came out. I was talking about Pat as a booker. And Roddy has a very conflicted moment where he's debating whether to go into Astoria. He gives enough for some phone calls from Connecticut to have happened, and they did after that. So that was a source of great heat between Roddy and Pat throughout the 80s. And as confirmation of this, if you watch that Legends House, where they put everybody, all the wrestlers together, it's basically the Surreal Life, that VH1 gimmick, but with wrestlers. Roddy and Pat are in that same season together. I watched it. I don't think they say 2 words to each other for the whole show, the whole series.
I think you're right. Also,
maybe in some group discussion, whatever, there is never a conversation between Roddy and Pat. That heat was real.
Also, and that show was recorded years before the WWE Network launched. So because they had recorded that whole show in an attempt to sell it to VH1. Otherwise it sat on ice until the network actually launched. So that makes it way closer to the events of this shoot interview.
Right.
So the heat would be even more real.
Yeah. So something happened. I don't know what it was. Roddy references knee pads and all that stuff, but maybe it was a shoot fight in the locker room. Who knows? Needed knee pads to take him down.
Ronald Reagan was in the White House. The Los Angeles Raiders and Washington Redskins are headed to Super Bowl 18. Say, say, say. Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson, #1 song on the radio. Average American household income, $21,599. Gas, $1.10 a gallon. And somebody was changing the questions right when we thought we had the answers. It was a guy that you could arguably, or maybe not so arguably, say was as responsible for the boom of the World Wrestling Entertainment Federation company in the 80s as anybody else with blonde hair. It's Roddy Piper, my guest.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you for agreeing to go back in the time machine.
Nice. That was nice, man. Come around every place with me and say that.
I'll be your representative.
Cool.
You need anybody?
No, you're really good.
Were you hired exclusively to manage? How was this pitched to you when you came in?
No, you see, the first time I came to Madison Square Garden didn't go so well. And I was asked to leave. And yeah.
When was this? An earlier run? Or
yeah,
or the
it
big
would have
run?
been, best guess, maybe 73, 4, 5 in there. And I was working in Los Angeles, the Olympic Auditorium, and against the Guerreros, and up with Frisco with Roy Shire, you know. It's a ranch, not a farm, it's a ranch. Shires, you know, TV spitting. Jeez, man. And one time, Jay York, remember Jay York, he just came and filled the place full of candles and was doing meditation when Roy Shire, whoa, baby Jesus.
So Senior brings you in
Yeah,
73?
no, I'll get around to it.
Okay.
I'll explain these characters to you as we go along. Roy Shires, anyway, I was working for, and I was selling out the Cow Palace, you know, and Mike LaBelle and Vince Senior, you know, every Monday, all the promoters around the world, they would call and brag, like, what did you draw? You know, who would you have on top? Who would you have on top? And so there was a whole network there, and and they keep hearing the same word in different territories, they start to notice you. And so Vince Senior said, because there's this kid playing the bagpipes, drawing all this money, I want to see him. And so they flew. I'll tell you something I've never told anybody. I think I'll tell you this only, and it's a shameful part. It's a shameful thing on my part. I've never told anybody this, but it'll be good for all you guys that are about to try. I hope this helps you. It didn't do a damn thing for me.
So
the
business
first time,
advice? Is this business advice?
yeah,
Okay.
business advice. The truth of the matter is, the very first time I was invited to Madison Square Garden, I was living with Killer Brooks from Waxahachie, Texas. Yeah, hair every place, little cigar except top of his head. And we made a great tag team partner. And so I'm selling out, because I forgot, I was selling out Portland, like 28 weeks in a row. Come to New York. It's a true story now. So I went and I bought a better jacket. I mean, nobody had any money. I bought a better jacket. I wanted to look better for New York. And I had Killer come up to the airport in Portland, Oregon. And I said, leave. He says, what? I went home. And I lied to him. I told him that there happened to be some kind of storm someplace, and I lied to him. And because I was scared. And so then, of course, you know, just made them want me more, you know.
Scared of the big stage, scared of Madison Square Garden, scared of the Northeast, scared of what?
I was scared that Madison Square Garden was always known as a big man's territory, different areas. And I don't know, I'm maybe 20, I don't know, God, you can do the math, 20 maybe. And I'm just this little guy. And I knew in my heart that I had Leo Garibaldi was one of my mentors, a genius. But I knew in my heart, I could feel it, that I just wasn't good enough. I wasn't there yet, and I chickened out. And so, but then the second time, I was like, all right. So I come there.
But there's 10 years in between that.
No. There's 3 weeks.
Oh, there's the second time.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you know.
I thought your second time was
It
83.
takes SWAT to take us down. All right. Yeah, 3 weeks later. Whoa, all right, here we go again. So boom, I come to Madison Square Garden and limousines and all kinds of things. And Captain Will Violent comes out and he goes, hey, come by, yes, sir. And and I used to come out Spanish channel. It was international. So like New York, it was very popular, Lucha Libre out of the Olympic Auditorium. And then Freddie Blassie come, Freddie Blassie come with a cane and he fucking hitting me on my shin. And yeah, pencil neck geek, we don't want you here. We've been watching you, dumb kid. That's wrestler love, whatever. By this time I'm used. I got beat up every day for like 4 years. That's another subject. But and it's wrestler's love. So time, I'm on like the third match. And bagpipes is a woodwind instrument. You got to blow them and tune them, in the dressing room, to the chagrin of
Anybody in
Bruno
your shot.
Sammartino or anybody. Yeah, absolutely. The rats, cockroaches. Bagpipes are the last living thing on earth, not cockroaches. Anyway, so and then I put them down. I'm like 180 pounds. I don't know, 190 maybe. I'm doing push-ups, trying to look 191. They got some new young guys there, like Andre the Giant, Tony Atlas, Rocky Johnson, Bill Sammartino, Superstar. And I went out, and so I said to the guy, the announcer, and I said to him, tell him to stand for the Scottish national anthem. And he, tell him to stand for the Scottish national anthem. And he says, like, Madison Square Garden is just 24,000 Puerto Ricans with knives. And boo, 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 boo. And finally, quiet. And I didn't care. I came 5th in the world playing the bagpipes, for real. And so, like, now all these promoters are looking like, what is he doing? Because I got this great plan. I'm going to play him like Jack Benny used to play the violin. And I go, and here we go, and boop, and this place here is called the chanter, where your finger movements go, and nothing, and the bag's full, and so I'm like checking the spark plugs, changing the oil, come on, baby, Jesus. And finally I dropped him, I remember his name, he was a good friend of Johnny Rod's. Anyway, boom, we got into the match, boom, and I got to the dressing room, and a guy came to the dressing room and said to me, he said, don't call us, we'll call you. And I went in a cab 3 weeks later. And I'm going like, what the fuck?
Who said that to you, Senior?
No, a guy they sent. And so I'm going, I'm not sure what happened. And then, doggone bagpipes. And I opened them, and when they said they didn't want me, they meant it. And Freddie Blassie took 6 feet of toilet paper and shoved it up there, yeah. So, and I fell on my face. I had this really big wheel of success in the very minor areas, and they're ready to take me there. But I changed my attitude in life quite a bit, that one.
Trust issues.
Oh, yeah, I don't trust anybody. I talked that long and I still haven't answered your question.
Yeah,
huh?
we needed a little setup. We
Gotcha,
needed a little history.
okay.
We went back to 1869.
Yeah, we did
We're
that.
here now.
Okay, so, what was the question?
Did they just want you to manage, or
Got it.
did they have plans of putting you in the ring too?
Okay, here's the thing. Because I had fallen on my ass first time, they having a problem bringing me in, senior. And you're like, what are you talking about, the little skinny kid? So that, but like Sergeant Slaughter, they used to have dinners after TV. And Sergeant Slaughter really pitched in for me. Then they saw me on TBS, and they saw the wrestling side. And that's when Senior called me. And I got to give credit to Jimmy Crockett, because I'd been blackballed by Barnett. Some bitch, man.
They saw your stick work.
Yeah.
And they knew your value talking.
Yeah.
Did Vince, you said Senior gave you the call, right? Even though
Yeah.
Junior had bought the company, I guess he had Senior because of the relationship with Barnett, maybe? Why did Senior make the call?
Senior called Jimmy Crockett.
Oh, Crockett, okay.
And
right.
I was doing TV, and Jimmy Crockett, man, I was doing TV, like you had to do like 90 interviews, 2 minutes, 54 seconds, and then go to Raleigh. And he says, Roddy, I need to speak with you. He brought me in the office. He said, I just got a call from Vince McMahon Sr. He said to me, you know, use them, you know, make them what you need, and then when you're finished with them, I'd like to come out. Told me straight out. Like most promoters would have just used you and kept that as a card and really made me do things, put over Steamboat, Flair, which I would do anyway there in Briscoe, but really take it out of me. And he didn't. And I did the honorable thing as a wrestler. I quit immediately and went up to New York.
Did they tell you were going to wrestle? Or did they
Well,
just
you
want
see,
to-
what it was is, it was the Bruno Sammartino Zbyszko. What happened there was that created Starrcade. Do you know this?
Well, I know the Zbyszko Bruno incident. You're talking about from 1980, the Shea Stadium?
Yeah, because this all in my ADD-ness comes around
Okay.
to your question. When they did $500,000 at Shea Stadium, well, the South got pissed. I'm not joking at all.
So they wanted an answer to that.
And that answer was the very first pay-per-view in history, Starrcade. Well, in that pay-per-view, I made another really grand piece of work for myself. I put a dog collar on and then gave the other thing to Greg.
Greg, yeah.
Yeah, like he needs weapons. The pay-per-view Starrcade really showcased for Senior the kind of there's the guy I need.
Okay.
As my main, or one of the guys I'm looking up.
So it was the
front.
ring work that was the real
Yeah,
draw
and
for you.
Yeah, and I had to go through all the paces for you. So because he had the tainted vision at first, because I fell on my face.
Right.
And then he went, oh, so the South's going to rise again? Starrcade, dog collar, give me him.
Okay. Now, when you come up, they put you with Schultz and Orndorff. Is that your choice or is that their design?
I wouldn't hang around fucking Schultz for, a pot to piss in.
All right,
man.
so that's clearly Vince's.
Hulk and Junior hooked up and got into we're going to change the world. This was their problem. New York, big man territory, third generation promoter. It's the way it is. You can't tame it's the law. All of a sudden, Rick Martel, who's a really dear friend of mine, and I used to live with, share an apartment. He also lived and shared an apartment with Hogan. And he told me and he told Hogan when we didn't know, he said, hey, you guys should hook up. Because he was friends with Hogan, big, like from the heart, and also myself from the heart. And so when I come to New York, there was a bit of a peace mat there. That's what made it so hard. And then what made it so hard was they never had somebody as a heel go boom so fast. And so because all of a sudden what started happening was these were the integral parts so he could change Hogan versus Piper to WWF on the marquee.
Right.
So, I never hear thanks for the name, Anyway, and Hogan and Piper were already packaged. You didn't have to, but okay, here we go, and it's the war to settle the score. We'll have Piper do the job. Why? He's a champion. You want to come back in a tag? Why the fuck you want to beat me for? Right. No sense.
Now, the Hogan
No.
that walks in January of '84, straight out of Vern. I mean, this is before Cyndi Lauper and all that. We'll get to all that. But here's Hogan just coming in, and we don't know if it's going to succeed or not, right? Compare that Hogan's demeanor humbleness with the guy a year later that rode the 84 into 85 thing? Was it a different Hogan, or was Terry the same from January of 84 straight through?
Well, I think that all of us got a little rougher. I think all of us, everybody's playing for keeps. Hogan, with myself, I have never had a face-to-face confrontation outside the ring with Hogan. Nor has I've heard I've heard him say things behind my back, but that don't mean nothing to me. Stand in line there. But there's a definite honor code of competition. It's kind of like war, having the Helsinki Agreement or whatever. Only 4 bamboo shoots under the fingers.
Honor Among Thieves?
Yeah, kind of.
Now, Mean Gene also debuts at this
Yeah.
same taping that Piper comes in. This is a hell of a taping. You got Piper coming in, you got Hogan coming in, you got Mean Gene coming in. How much credit should we give Mean Gene for the on-camera product in the 80s?
Good question. Really good question. The guys I had gone through before Mean Gene was like Marty out of Minneapolis. Used to have the little glasses, Marty. Can't remember his last name. But and then Frank Culverton in Portland. Who else?
Different than Gene how? Was Gene the prototypical announcer in many ways?
I'm almost there. See, then, because I'm going, okay, because as I went along, I'm going Marty, and then that's an announcer, and you guys will be able to find him on AWA, Marty, da-da-da. And then go to TBS and Gordon Soley.
Sure.
Gordon Soley, I worked with him. I was the very first ever active wrestling heel to take that position. And Gordon Soley, who was, because now you're talking Mean Gene, but Gordon Soley was hugely respected and allowed me to come in and just do what I wanted to do and play with me instead of taking any ego to it. So it was really hard for me to get out of Gordon Soley. I loved Gordon so much. But what Mean Gene brought, and with the WWF, EFG, whatever it is, what they brought though was Mean Gene was in the tuxedo, the bow tie. They do their studies on the colors and what the colors do to the brain, and set it up, and he's got a cadence, and boom, and he sells the product instead of selling himself. And he's a great face guy on there. He's always, he doesn't miss a beat. And if something does go wrong, it doesn't bother him a bit. He's cool under fire. Go ahead.
A touch of the comedy in him too.
Yeah.
That Gordon maybe lacked.
Yes.
Gordon was calling it straight, but
Yes.
Gene, you could take all over the place. The funny stuff, the straight stuff.
You could. I think like with Gordon, because he would come from the kind of like the St. Louis clique with Pat O'Connor and the Harley Races and Jack Briscoe's and Dump Funks would come through there, and Gordon, would be in there. The TBS so big. That's our biggest show, I think, at that time to be on for a wrestler, other than WOR. WOR had New York out. So Gordon was trained to kind of tote the line, not give him. But I think that also, as much as Gordon brought the credibility to it, Mean Gene brought the spice and what was needed to make that bridge. I'm a big fan of it.
A bit of a package, maybe, Hogan and Gene coming over together?
Yes, Hogan's smart there. Hogan names him Mean Gene, and then every time anybody else says Mean Gene, it refers to Hogan. You know, those are good ones. Those are good ones. You know, I got some on you too. And they played off each other. They had practiced in Minneapolis for a couple of years. They were comfy. And so this is the thing with like anything, you get Mean Gene, when Mean Gene says Hulk Hogan's, there's an extra volume, there's an extra, you know, look up the Brunswick affair. It's a huge conspiracy that'll teach you about this other thing. But the volume of Hulk Hogan and Hulk Hogan.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, I know them all. And so yeah, they made a great player.
How much is known by talent at that time? Kayfabe doesn't exist now, but at that time, how much is known by you guys among each other that there's going to be a switch tonight? Hogan's getting the belt. This is the direction we're going.
If you weren't if you weren't deep enough into it to be into a certain circle and didn't know that, then you one should quit, or two, they're about to fire you. You know, like it's like, hey, it's like, okay, let me get this straight. They're pushing Hogan, and that guy's friends got 440 hostages. I don't know. It'll be a close one here.
So Jose Luis Rivera had it figured out that
well,
night,
you know,
too.
had their best on it, you know. You betcha. Brooklyn Baller.
We sometimes hear, well, he was privy to a lot of inside information. We sometimes hear about a double-cross rumor that Vern made a phone call to Kaz the night before, the week before, whatever, and said there's a lot of money in him having a leg broken that night or something to that effect. You buy that? Now, Hogan fucked him, walked out. He's going to be the golden boy for my old friend's kid who wants to run me out of the damn place.
Well, the only thing that I got to be sincere and authentic here is why isn't his leg broken? Somebody gave me the offer, you know. He'd at least have a bruise. I suppose, so what's either, yeah, he couldn't get it done, or no, he didn't do it from principle?
That's what he'd tell you.
Oh, Muhammad said, you know, don't turn him in today, turn him in tomorrow. You know, I think probably though I think probably there might have been like, yeah, you should break his fucking leg. I'll give you 50 grand to break his leg. So 50 grand to break his leg? Oh, then, you know, I get 8 times, and you buy 8 by 10 picture of me. And probably something like that might have been thrown out.
Just a flippant comment that wasn't serious.
Yeah, well, ribbon on the square, you call it, you know,
Gotcha.
if it happens to get broke, you know.
We got a deal. Tell me about the inception of Piper's Pit. Who's it pitched to? Who pitches it to you? What do they say? What's your reaction? You certainly couldn't have seen the wild success it had.
Wow, that's really interesting. That's really interesting. That's a good question. With all due respect, I think that something needs to be cleared up. One of the things I'm doing now is I'm clearing up my name of a lot of things. But this is, so this is what was going on, and you, like, who come and pitched it to me, right? So you help me remember that. We're going to put that over in this block, okay, right over there. This is what's going on. I get invited to come to New York. Orndorff gets invited. Morocco gets invited. You know, like Fuji, all the renegades get invited there, right? And they're giving us, you know, great carpenters and stuff on TV, but each guy trying to get over the other guy is like, less than a fucking ritual killing, you know, I don't know how much more you can beat a human body up and let it live, you know, or whatever. And I'm in a bar in St. Louis. Now, you see, why I tell you that is I come, especially by the second time I come to New York, you don't tell me nothing. You don't tell me nothing about Roddy Piper. You tell me who I'm going to fight. You tell me where, when, and we discuss what is right for business, and then fuck off. Leave me alone. And it was the same with Vince, because how the fuck would you know how I get over? You know, so I'm looking, and I'm in a bar in St. Louis and with Vince, trying to steal him from Hogan. And
Your new girlfriend.
say, how you doing? Oh, come on, edit it, you got it. And
Move that right to the next to the Lombardi reference we did a couple minutes ago. Go ahead.
the outtakes. And so, shit, don't let me forget now.
In the bar?
In the bar. So, because really Lombardi and the guys, Salvador Bellomo, guys are getting hurt. They're carrying them out like the Roman Colosseum. And I'm thinking, I said to myself, all right, number one, if they're going to see me wrestle, they got to pay. And I had made up my mind well before New York of a new way to get over putting it out of percentages, out of 100%. I spent about 65 on the promo and the rest on the actual physical part of wrestling. I made that determination. I used to put 100% in the wrestling, and I made that determination as I went along. So all of a sudden I'm thinking to myself, I got to do something. I mean, look, they're all gunslingers and none of them afraid. Fuck it. Give me an interview section. So I said this exactly to Vince McMahon. I said, you give me 5 weeks of mic stand and a bow tie. If I don't get the job done, I'm out of here. And the next time we come to, I don't even know, was Allenburg or?
Allentown. The Ag Hall for the tapings?
Yeah, whatever the next taping was, that set was there. And I'm telling you, I came out and went, huh? Ah, fuck. And then I started thinking, which, you know, is never good. And so, it's not like I think you had to be there like 11 o'clock in the morning, you know, in body, not in mind.
Well, you're taping promos all
yeah,
night.
and everybody's hungover, and you know, Andre's, you know, picking villagers out of his teeth and drinking vats of wine and whatever. And
so you're there at 11 and you don't know what you're going to do.
Yeah,
Your first guests are Paul Orndorff
no, my
and Eddie Gilbert. Two separate tapes.
Gotcha. Here's where I didn't know, like, and Orndorff was a heel.
Yeah.
And as was I. So it just kind of like, okay, it wasn't much more than doing a 2.5 minute promo. Hey, I love you, I love you, I love you. Right. But it's not what they're right. I'm going to myself.
Okay.
And I'm going, what the fuck's that? And it's not, you don't get at 11 in the morning who your guest's going to be. You know, it's like 5 minutes before, hey, what are you doing? Get on, you're a guest.
Oh, so that's how they would say, it was almost arbitrary, unless there was an angle planned.
Yeah,
it was arbitrary.
It was, everything was improv. Nothing.
But I mean, even the guests, they wouldn't tell you until a couple of minutes before they got on the pit.
No, because back then, like if we're, for instance, Poughkeepsie, a lot of them done. So you come in about 11 a.m., you do, I don't know how many interviews, 60 interviews for the different markets. And then, you know, the way these guys catering and stuff is they didn't even feed us. Finally, we all just left and ate.
Whose name was Piper's Pit? Was that you?
Yeah, yeah.
We're invading a big NWA territory here.
Oh, man.
This is
and
a big
I'm having a horrible problem with it.
Okay, tell me.
Well, like,
Personally, you mean about what he's?
oh yeah. Man.
Okay, gotcha.
Because not only personally but business-wise, I drew the line with Don Owens. I told him no, and they booked me again. No, they booked me again. No. And this is where this whole bullshit about. Pardon me. No, that's just a weakness. This is where a lot of things that I want to start to clear up. Or Piper was hard to do business with. That's not true.
You had a code that you worked
Yeah, Sam Muchnick, the home of the NWA, so to speak, and going in there, I didn't want to go. And here's where, Vince, you didn't, and not only Vince, just you guys, you didn't go and work for Don Owens for 3 years and him feed your family. I worked on top in LA for 2.5 years, 3 years in Portland, and 2.5, 3 years between Charlotte and Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, here's a couple things got to be cleaned up. Is one, you didn't fucking make me, and you don't even know what it goes into making me.
Did you make? Were you vocal? Were you vocal?
I got blackballed. I made a magazine, and I put it in the locker room, and it had a crest on it, man. Whoa, I had a lot of heat for this. I had a crest on it, and the crest says like a quarter, but it says "You fuck a Muslim," and it's got two guys standing, and you just so like I'm standing, I'm the wrestler, I got tights on and boots on, and this hand I got a belt, and I'm smiling, and the other guy's standing there, he's a promoter, he's got a suit and tie on, and in this hand he's got a bag of money, and he's smiling, except for the promoter, he's got his hand on the balls of the wrestler. They're both smiling, one's got a belt, one's got the money.
And you leave this out in the locker room?
Yeah, but I got busted. Because that damn Jay York programmed me. And so I got busted, and I got called that. I was trying to tell you, though, that some of the things that I did were to save the business, to save, like with Mr. T, he wanted to come in and bang heads around and, play, make dolls and fun and then go home and laugh. And that's why I didn't get along with him right away. I insisted with Vince, and I said, no, there's only one right way to do it. Keep it amateur. He wants to go in there and throw punches and stuff, and he's going to look like shit and going to get mad, and it's not going to work. You got your house on this, and I'm late. And I'm no. And when you watch that match, you watch when T finally gets to Hogan. I got just tired enough. I front face locked him. And then boom, got over, and you watch, he doesn't throw one punch, he doesn't do anything, you take him down, you ride him, and that's it. And that's why that son of a bitch worked.
So you realized at this time, as we're going into St. Louis, and you said you stayed out of Don Owens' area, but you knew this was bad for the business if the territories disappeared. So it was part loyalty to the guys that fed your family, but also in a greater business sense, you knew that you guys needed options.
You know what? And hey, I hate this, but it's business. But you got to have someone. I wouldn't work against Don until Don finally said, "Hey, kid,
did he give you a blessing?
Don Owens?
Did he say, go ahead,
yeah.
Go ahead, go in?
Yeah, because I was getting a lot of heat. You can do a lot, when you draw a lot of money, you can do a lot wrong.
Don was a big figure there for the IC run. He'd take a lot of hiatuses, hit the surfing every once in a while. Right, we'll get back. Talk about Don for a minute. I know he was a friend of yours.
Yeah.
Another guy great on the stick, known for his stick work.
Way hard to beat him. He, it's funny. Adrian was an orphan, and Don Morocco was an orphan, and both of them are men's men. Holy shit, that's crazy, man.
Don's pretty mellow.
Well,
though,
Don is mellow. He likes to hang, and he likes his fun. I was just trying to tell something I could think of that I could tell you, but...
Statute of limitations is up on all this stuff. What are you talking about?
Well, okay. Let me try. Whoa. Adrian Adonis, man. Whew. All right. So, you can look it up in the Fresno police file and newspaper. Don Morocco and Roddy Piper and Ace, Bob Orton, with the broken arm. It was probably about a year and a half into the broken arm. Just put the fucking cast on and shut up. All right. You don't know how much, this is by 94. You don't know how much attention we had. And we were in this Mexican restaurant and they were being real sweet. And we're gentlemen, we're not trying to be rough guys or nothing like that. But more tequila and there we go, and then closed down. So, boom, we drive and we see a bar because obviously we meet for alcohol.
At least.
At least, and go in the bar and Adrian and Don go in the ladies' room and I stay out, try to get some beer, and I don't know, somehow a construction worker got knocked off a chair and Adrian and Don came. I said, let's probably go. And so we went and holy cow. We had to rent a car and we were coming around the corner, but it was a little rainy. And as we come around the corner, there were train tracks and son of a bitch, that car we started losing it, and under like the front tire of the car's here and the back tires are here, and we're losing it. We're coming across the corner and boom, a track rail comes there and a track rail there, and now we're and we got the wheels here, and track rail in between. So we get out with our engineering skills and we look at some bitch, and Morocco and I get behind the car and say, hey, Orton, yeah! Can't hear nothing. Listen, drop it into drive and hit the gas and we're gonna pull it off. Yeah, okay. Orton drops it into drive and like, you know those little round pebbles by the train track?
Gravel.
Gravel, it's like 22 bullets hit. Start, yeah, what? Yeah, all right, bad idea. Ooh, ooh, train. Oh, it's on the track. Well, fuck, this should be cool. So we all stepped back a good 5 feet for our safety. And so, I'm not kidding you, man.
Alamo didn't get the car back that night, huh?
Well, there was foul play someplace, but I'll just get it done here. I don't know. That train was there was 6 tracks. That train didn't miss that car by that much. And
so we missed it.
Yeah, it was
okay.
on like, that's why, because when we started skidding in the car, there was so many tracks. And I don't know. So anyway, somehow Bobby gets away from us. We don't know how or why. Well, why we know. Orton, Morocco and I, brother Don come in, the hotel, SWAT, helicopters, Black Hawk down, and it's swarming with police. And we're going, what are you talking about? No, somebody stole the rental car, of course. That's why we took a cab. Now, while this is all happening, it gets way better in about 30 seconds. All the rooms have, like as you walk in the hallways, they all overlook the lobby. Mm-hmm. So you with me? How you doing? I just take a nap. Yeah, all right. So, because there's so much ruckus, one customer opens the door and holds like the door with his toe to shout down to the lobby, hey, shut the fuck up, I'm trying to sleep. And the door gets away from him and locks. Now, Bobby Orton likes to sleep in the nude. How he got in the room before us, we have no idea. Now, cops, boom, come up. The other, here comes the horses. Cops come up. One guy takes out whatever that kind of gun is, and it shoots the tasers with the little thingamajig, like
The wires?
little flags. No, not wires, like little flags or something. I didn't get it.
It's a darts, though.
Dart,
right?
yeah, right in there. Paul, like I won't use the language because it's not necessary, but he. You stupid. Now, the cops think they just shot a guest at the hotel. They have no idea Orton's with us. He comes down. Now they're fucking panicking. They're going left, the horses, the tanks, there, to bring the flares, we're out of here. And they needed to make an arrest. So they arrested me.
You? There's
Yes.
a naked guy that won't be shot, and they took you?
For vagrancy. Because I wasn't checked in the hotel room. And the next morning, I didn't know it, but like every talk show, it was all over. And I come and I'm, bail me out. No, really? And I'm willing, and there's all the boys that got the paper open. It's got like, who do they think they are? Or who does he think he is? And there's my picture on the paper. And
Wow. Good stuff.
that's Morocco.
Was the Dallas territory on your radar at the time?
I had worked Dallas for maybe 71. 71. I'll tell you what they used to do. Like Amarillo would use you for 6 weeks doing jobs. Amarillo would use you for 6 weeks. KC would use you for 6 weeks. Dallas would use you for 6 weeks. And you might be able to do a double, but at least it kept faces fresh. And I actually went from Dallas to LA, where all the rest of that started.
Did you know the boys? The kids? The Von Erich kids?
Oh, yeah, well, maybe I was 16. I stayed in the Alamo Plaza Hotel. I'm the only guy to ever get kicked out. And that's because my pit bull ate the guy's pool. And like nobody gets kicked out of the Alamo Plaza. They don't even clean the rugs. They just put another one on top of it. And I sleep him in my damn car because my pool, he's got poodle hair in his. Anyway, the boys were in school and they would hang around. We would hang and run around and drink together. And Kerry, I'll tell you a true story. Kerry Von Erich. Love him so much. I don't know how many people know this, but Kerry Von Erich, his right leg from the knee down was an amputee. And because Kerry, he was riding his motorcycle with flip-flops on, boom, and he lost half of his leg. And like an incredible athlete, and he went his Texas Tornado, and so he had boots on, and he wouldn't shower with the boots on. But with me, because I'd known him, he'd heal a room with me. When heal a room means one guy gets a room and 2 guys split it, and he didn't mind taking his leg off with me. And when we come, this is the Marriott in Miami. Oh, God. When we come in the door, room service, you always put the chain so the door stayed ajar, or the lock.
Yeah.
Because then you just lay down in the bed and call room service. You don't got to get up and open the door. I don't really know what we were thinking, but there was allegedly a joint around, and there was a window, boom, and it opened, and somehow we both went out on the ledge. I don't know, maybe a little longer than my foot. And I remember having to push back because the wind was really strong up there. And it slammed the door, the thing was one of those where you cook it like that. It's got 2 brackets, and boom, it slammed it. But we didn't mind it. And we were just talking for a long time and looking out, and then Big Boss Man and Kurt Hennig, just came down for a beer and, pulled us in, and out of all those guys, I'm the only one alive.
I was going to say, yeah. That old patriotism angle never gets old, huh?
Man, oh man, this is true. I'm very close with him. My family calls him Uncle Bob. One of the few wrestlers I've had to my home. And so, Uncle Bob, Sergeant Slaughter beats the Iron Sheik, right? He makes everybody in the arena stand up to do the Pledge of Allegiance. One of the people that's watching is President Carter, and he makes his whole cabinet or whatever stand up and do the pledge with Sergeant Slaughter. How cool is that? And he's met 7 presidents, I think.
Slaughter has, yeah.
Yes.
You think he was a better heel or face?
Oh, I think before Iran, he was a better heel. After Iran, and then, you know, we got going in Vietnam and from, he's a better face because, you know, but it's hard for him. He's a big guy. And so he can, and he's a great wrestler, great worker. But in matching him, you know, it's like you get to be Big John Studd, Sergeant Slaughter, you get, you know, Hogan. You get that category, and you start limiting yourself a little bit. You got to establish your style to be able to work anyway.
How aware are you guys? You're doing the grind. I mean, you're out there doing 300 shows a year. Are you aware of TV when it starts to change and look different? Are you guys just on a treadmill?
So in '84?
Yeah.
In '84, without a doubt, worse than a treadmill, but had been on that treadmill for about 14, 15 years, you know, and strong, and wouldn't get tired. Mad Dog was another one of my dads, and made me run, you know, biggest fear of a fighter, any fighter, running out of air. I was to the point where I couldn't run out of air. So.
So are you watching product on TV at all?
Well, here's what you know what I'm doing is I was aware of, I'm creating it. Because I'd go to an arena and something would pop up, and on the next interview, you know, every time you think you got all the answers, I change the questions. You know, you don't throw rocks at a man who's got a machine gun. So you were creating them, especially between TVs. And then I drove a lot by myself alone because I have no friends at all. And I would I'd drive with my knee, and I'd have the radio on loud rock and roll, and I had all the stuff and the lights on, and I'd have non-alcoholic beer here, and I'd have a yellow legal pad, and you know, I'd be writing and go, oh, raining, son of a gun, and you know, and the next day I'd look at them like 12 of them would suck, but well, there's one, you know, and what people don't understand is hundreds of thousands of hours went into changing. I changed it. And I made I don't want to miss. You see, a lot of the stuff that you're asking me, I changed almost by myself to a certain point because I was allowed the room. And with after doing all these interviews, I did one for Crockett, where I came out in the woods, and then against Ricky, I can't remember who, and I hung myself, and it was one of the very first of that type of promo. So to answer your question here, and this may be too scholastic for these people that want me to hurry up, is we tell you what to do. I never go out there and you tell me what to do, ever. Matter of fact, if you're starting to tell me what to do, I will actually stop you from telling me what to do.
For promos, for ring work, all of it?
Everything.
Okay.
Everything. And so, but you know what you're doing, bud, is what's happening is the difference between old school and new school becomes apparent with these questions. Because the new school is written and what's politically correct, I guess. This school here, what made it so great is every piece of talent had themselves together, as did I, or better. So, yeah, when we came to TV, what we didn't know, here's the downside. What we didn't know is how much merchandise was being sold. And I'll tell you how I signed my first contract. Fuck you. And I was the last guy, of course. I don't know why. I'm the littlest and the last. Napoleon Rod. And finally, I'm with McMahon, and it's in a warehouse someplace. It was just a one sheet, and he puts it down on the crate. No, yes, no, yes, no. He's fine. He's all right. This is like 2 weeks to WrestleMania. He's a little into it. And your house, huh? Want to be an asshole? Green M&Ms.
Why would he even ask you to sign anything when you have such leverage?
I showed you what a dumbass I am, man. Okay, there, okay. Let's just take that point. So he's saying, hey, come on, to represent you in toys and stuff like that, I need the licensing, come on. Boom. When I did that, at that point in the business, with what I had gone through and everybody else, and where they were market value in the business, to me, it was, okay, I'll give it to you, but take great care of it and pay me lots of money for it. That's what that means to me. There you go. Now, so I leave and you go to the office to do your TV work, but I go back to the front line, and we've made this deal. But wait a second, you're not taking care of me. I'm the hottest heel in the world, and you want to break it down and pay everybody the same, or whatever your systems are, or you get 0.00 of, you didn't make Roddy Piper up. You didn't make, matter of fact, anything. So when I signed that piece of paper, it was like, you know what? You're a lucky motherfucker. Because last time I didn't feel very welcome.
Lucky you signed it at all.
But because that's the old school of scariness. Don't let me, and when hey, just stop me if you don't want it, okay? Because, but as fearless and all that stuff as you're supposed to be, when you get kids, and they had different ways we don't got to get into now, of jerking you around, and it becomes a whole different level.
The stakes are high.
The stakes are high anyway.
So now TV's moving. You're doing some stuff down at Video One in Baltimore, right? Remember Video One?
Yeah, was that
lovely
TNT?
Hollywood studio-like
Was it
setting.
like TNT? Was that
TNT was down there, yeah. So that's a good example of what I was talking about when I'm talking about the slick look. You're a guy who came up, the NWA, serious business. We're gonna go out. This is the real deal. Blood, sweat. And now I'm on the Johnny Carson set. What is this?
Yeah.
Was it hard for you? The old school guy? Or were you just accepting, hey, listen, this is where it's going. We're doing talk shows now, I guess. I don't know.
I still have a problem. There's just some things that don't need to be said. And as in any business, especially if it's a rough business, I still, I'm under somewhat of a code, I guess. I'm not trying to hide anything, but I live it. It's a lot of that speak when you're spoken to, sissies cry, we're broken, if you can walk, you can wrestle. Here's a big one that I used to hear a lot, man, was, well, if you're gonna die, kid, die in the ring, it's good for business. And they meant it too, because I first 4 years in the business, I didn't have a number, nobody knew me, so I was expendable.
first of all, what's it like working physically with someone like Andre?
Wow, he always found us.
Because they say he liked you or he didn't. I don't know what side of the fence you fell on.
I hear you. There's a lot, boy. While it's sounding like I have ADD, is your questions are so good, but unless you understand. Okay, let's take them one at a time here, champ. Did I wrestle with him a lot? Was that what you said to me?
What was it like working with somebody of the stature of an Andre the Giant?
I must have wrestled him 75 times. Every territory he'd come, he'd go, I wrestle Piper. Every match, he would come over, take my t-shirt on, put it on himself, look like baby Huey, kick my ass for, 10, 20 minutes, whatever he felt like. By that one, it was like the 3 days drinking with him nonstop after that. And I was young, man, I was young. And it's just like, and the car would be like this, going down, like he'd be in my car. I remember one time there was a guy that honked and Andre, I said, Andre, you're gonna hit him. He said, oh, boss, he moved, and there's his fucking head like that. Ah! He moved, man. All right. Shoosh. I don't usually talk about these kinds of things because it ruins it for you. But I think I can make you understand. Andre the Giant is such a big, powerful man. When he's in front of a lot of people like that, for his credibility, it's hard, it's impossible for him to accept you or I am going to hit him in the stomach and he's going to fall. He's a giant. Mm-hmm. All right. And I've seen many guys, great guys, work with Iron Sheik, which he didn't like, but the guys go to hit him and he doesn't, and the Giant would hit him and they'd rightfully so fly and etc. And basically it was a midget tossing match. Well, I was also raised by Mad Dog Vachon for 2 years, and that's part of the Andre clique. And he would sell for me where he wouldn't for anybody else.
It's hard for you to even say the word sell, isn't it?
Yeah, it kills me. It's just,
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's. But so here's the thing: is guys would come up and get on it, slap him or hit him, and boom, and Andre'd hit them and they'd fly. So Andre never felt comfortable, and what I would do is, tenacity would be the word. Is I'd get my elbows up to his hair and get into his eyes. And once I could get into his eyes, I could get him in the throat. And when he hit me, sometimes I would go down, but I would still keep the hair in my hand. And I was fast. So I'd be fast up. So eventually, he could find a corner where he could lay his bum down there, and his eyes, and he can't see, and he's feeling tap, 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 tap on the hair. In his heart, he feels comfortable enough that the people that have paid the hard-earned money to see Andre again can believe and go, come on, Andre, don't let this little piece of shit do that to you. Mm-hmm. Now, there's a lot of education there it takes to get that accomplished. Okay. The reason Andre the Giant bled for me in the Garden was, I remember the match, and I remember being in the room with Vince, Andre, and Schultz. I can't remember who else. And Andre said, for Piper. And Vince went, no, Andre, yeah, boss. And Andre insisted upon it. And the reason that he did that was for all the times that I put him over, it was a sign of respect that he gave me that back. And it was Andre that insisted upon that. And he just wanted to give me a little lift.
And did you recognize it at the time as an honor?
Right. When I was in the dressing room, when he first mentioned it, it went like, no, he goes, no, boss. I knew right away.
Pat becomes a very influential figure here for this run. Later on, he's out, and you know, Louis, his partner, everyone knows. At this time, '84,
Yeah.
is it a climate that he's comfortable enough being who he is?
No.
Pat, no.
Pat Patterson doesn't like me.
Pat doesn't like you?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Like when again, in the Olympic Auditorium, I was, I don't know, 21. I think Pat was out of Frisco, the America's champion, or the U.S. champion. I was the American champion. We had a 2 out of 3 fall match. So, like, what's the question, sir?
I just want to know, well, if Pat was comfortable enough being who he was in his lifestyle then. But I'm curious to hear the genesis of this heat that you had with Pat. You're working him in the ring in San Francisco?
We went 2 out of 3 falls in the Olympic Auditorium.
Oh, L.A., okay.
Yeah. I must admit, okay. You know, you need to be a man about these. I'm talking about myself. You need to be a man about these things. And, you know, like, since I was 15, I've been in this business. And when you're young in this business, it can be very difficult.
It's a political thing? Was he trying to keep you down?
No. Hey, you know, probably my fault. I was a pretty little kid, believe it or not, one time, and it just got awkward. That's all.
He made you awkward, and you held a grudge.
Or I did, whatever, you know, my bad.
Were you forced to?
No, fuck that, no. It's just, it's a hard business.
Yeah.
And so there was a uncomfortability. Now, you know what though? Again, credit where credit's due. He's really got a good mind for the business.
Okay.
He's got a great mind for the business. I can remember though, I was going against Jerry Lawler, something, and I was doing a movie in Indonesia. And I just rolled in, and I was tired, and so there's Jerry, and there's another thing with Pat. And Pat's the referee, and he got the agent, and he going, what could we do? Like, I'm really tired. What can we do? Like, he's got 69 things in his head. He's just bullshitting and nothing's coming out because he wants you to fuck up. It's a really old school trick. It's like, oh, I can't think. Well, then nobody can think, right? It's just like this. Like I go to do an interview. Captain Freddie Blassie, Lou Albino, what they do to mess with you, they knew like 30 seconds, say, hey, how you doing, kid? Hey, and 15 seconds, you're on. Hey, you know what? And they go, yeah, and you're on, hey. And then they let you, and then you go.
Right away.
Yeah, boom. Same kind of, there's all kinds of these, I'm giving you a plethora of, all kinds of these ways that they mess with you. And like, because I saw every one of them, every way. Okay, let me give you a better example to apply to this. Because I'm not accusing Pat Patterson of anything.
Well, you said you were willing, but to admit the business was hard.
Business was hard.
Yeah.
Okay. A little bit before this time, I was, baby Jesus, I can't believe I'm telling you this. I'm in the dressing room in Kansas City, and I come up in the dressing room, and it just be me. Like, I'm just living with a pit bull in a Vega, with a tent and a little cooler thing going on. And so like I'm early, I got nothing to do. I come in and in the can, the door's open. There's Ken Ramsey jacking off, and I guess it's supposed to be a joke, but like I'm the only guy here, whatever, And then like Lord Alfred Hayes, fuck. Oh, you'll never be able to air this anyway. Alfred Hayes, it's true stories, man. Alfred Hayes He had a big schwanz on
I'd say
him.
he's hung like a fucking elk,
Yeah,
wasn't he?
oh yeah, and he would go and he'd get it running like this, and he'd run around, literally going, Roddy, Roddy. You know, it's like, oh, dude, come on,
needs
get
that
ready.
shit?
Well, fine, you know, haha. You know, but like I got nowhere to go, and then. Like, you know, Ken Ramey, I don't know what Ken was doing, you know. I mean, and he's packing a nickel 45. Everybody packed back then, too.
Yeah,
Ronnie Etchison, oh, unbelievable guys. So, Bobby Orton Sr., Randy Orton's grandfather, I wrestled him, too. What was I telling you about?
Well, we covered a few things. Covered
Just the
Lord
last-
Hayes' cock.
Okay,
We
yeah,
covered-
thank you. Thank you very much. Just want to see if you're listening.
Oh.
Okay, so now, Bob Geigel, who was the president of the NWA, Mr. fucking Geigel, wants to talk to Rod. Like the guy at the door doesn't even want to talk. He doesn't even believe I'm a wrestler. You know how honest I am. I'll do push-ups, fucking A. So, I am thrilled. And there's Mr. Geigel, and like behind is all the lockers. They're little stalls, you know, I had one, whatever. And there was a massage table, like right here. I'll just do it from here for convenience. But I'm listening to Mr. Geigel saying anything, you know. You know, Mary Poppins, yes, yes, sir, I'm Mary, you know. And I'm listening, I got my hand here, and I'm listening, and while I'm listening, I don't know, something's wrong. I'm listening to Mr. Geigel, but it's Mr. Geigel, so I gotta figure out the wrong thing later. Right now, but he's not saying anything. One tackle, what was it, sir? Yeah, Roddy, yeah, Piper. No, R-O-D. What is that in my fucking hand? And I turn, and it's Lord Elfish Hayes' dick. Not funny.
Not for you.
And I turned around, and my face was red, and there was nobody in the place I could beat up. And I was on
How
the
much
street for 2
ribbing
years.
was there like this? With
Every day. I'll tell you this, I just did nothing yet, man.
Well, is it true that you were quoted as saying when you were trying to help out Jim Powers or something, they should call your place World Wrestling Faggots, Vince?
Yeah, that's true. Worldwide faggots.
Worldwide Faggots, yeah.
Boy, that got out, did it?
We hear things.
That was in the Blackwall thing.
Right.
Yeah, worldwide faggots, actually. Yeah.
But you
Yeah,
were going
could
to say,
you
I
cut
asked,
that part out a little bit for me?
I said, was it that rampant, that kind of ribbing, the gay dick ribbing and stuff, and it was fucking all over the place?
Well, what happened is, I wouldn't come in the dressing room anymore, and like I try to shower in the gym, and like that's a place where also, when I was Kansas City, Dallas, I got kicked out of there, and I just like, they call them the Pooms when you're in Atlanta. They used to have a club called the Pooms, because you see a card, you know, the main event, whatever, then it got the POOM, which stands for plus one other match.
Oh.
And they used to have Rick McGraw was in it, and when we were with Gordon Soley, the guys, you know, the Pooms were out there, and when the guy got a gut shot in there, we set up popcorn, we sell chairs, the Pooms. Anyway, then after about 2 months, there became the stink factor. And Bob Geigel said, kid, come here. Because I'd hear the American National Anthem, and I'd be all dressed, and I'd just head up to the ring. And then I told the guy, just leave my stuff there. And when I was finished, I just grabbed my stuff and went to the car, like for 2 months, a month and a half.
But that's not just even exclusive to that territory. It was going on in WWF. For you to have made a WWF joke like you did, or reference worldwide XYZ. So it was going on there too. There was a trial about it and everything, remember? Some allegations.
I think that, you know, I'm just referring to that Pat and I didn't have a chemistry,
Gotcha.
you know. Now, but listen, I'm dad. I'm a dad. And I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of anything. Well, I'm afraid of everything, which makes me afraid of nothing. If I thought the label belonged to a company of mistreating anybody, I'd be all over it, as I was. There was a circle in there of dads. You know where this eye poke come from? Let me tell you this story, and this will clear this up. I've done that eye poke for everything. You know everybody, the Three Stooges, right? Bullshit. There was a guy named Horst Hoffman, and he was from Germany, worked with Gagne, Billy Robinson, Horst Hoffman, Jeff Ports, and Larry the Axe Henning, Kurt Henning's daddy, who was my first match. These guys started talking about the night before and how they had underage girls. And they kept talking about it. And Larry Henning said, listen, I heard about enough of this shit. Horst Hoffman, the shooter, boom, boom. I can't give you the dialogue verbatim. It's too long. But Horst Hoffman takes exception. And Henning, here you go. Horst Hoffman's there, and boom, you're Henning. You just stay still. Just don't move, don't move. And so Henning's Hoffman there, and all of a sudden Henning goes, boom. Hoffman goes, ah! That was the end of it. That's where that came from.
You saw it.
I was there.
Yeah.
Boom, ah! And don't you ever.
So similarly, in WWE at this time, 80s, 84, there are some dads there that are not taking kindly to ring boy allegations and stuff like that.
And a lot of it's happening from lower, inside. It's got guttural there for a little bit. But like the dad guys don't put up with it. There was a good watch system. Listen, that's a tough one, man. It's like with the girls, you know. I have so much respect for them because they'd come in the dressing room. There's no dressing room for them. There's no shower for them. There's nothing for them. I don't know about that issue there. As long as don't hurt nobody. I know what I don't. Unless you had your feelings hurt really bad. If you have, you'd never do that to anybody. You can't get rid of it. It hurts too much.
It seemed, okay, as a viewer, let me tell you what it looked like to me, and then you tell me if I'm off base, if I'm on.
Go for it, man.
Chief or whoever's in charge of sending the guy out goes, oh, Christ, I don't know. Frank, go. And you said, what do I got? And you said him. And you went, I'm going to kick the shit out of this guy today. Whatever, bad day, long morning, doing promos, a little hungover, whatever. Sat down, tried to talk to him, wasn't going well, bang, 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 that's the end. Not a lot of planning, not a lot of talking to Frankie. Frankie might not even known it was going to happen. That's
Holy
my guess.
Cow. I love it. I love it. Wow. That's really interesting. Okay.
Now you're going to blow my cover and you're going to say this was meticulously discussed between me and Frankie.
No.
How the fuck does a guy with an accent like that get a name Frankie Williams? First of all, we could start there.
Okay. So I don't know who the guy's going to be. I'm not getting the intel here. And then it's Frankie Williams. And I swear to you, like if you were Frankie, from the second I sat down and I grabbed the mic and they turned the camera on, I had nothing. Nothing. And Frankie Williams is like the only Puerto Rican I know with freckles. And I'm looking over at this guy. Now, I need to bring you back about 4 years just for a lesson I got taught by an old timer named Paul Jones. I was doing a promo about Paul Jones and I says, you know, he's so old, every time he passes the cemetery, two guys chase him with shovels. You know, nah. Paul Jones says, come here, asshole. Really putting me down like that really draws, you know, I got the hour lecture, right? Okay. So you don't do that kind of stuff. So here's Frankie. All right, how much? Where are you from?
Columbus, Ohio.
In the thickest fucking Puerto Rican accent. I'm from Columbus, Ohio. We're off, baby, but you suck as a wrestler. That was against everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Pointing out the real weakness.
Yeah, you're whatever, you know, you're a jobber. You're pissing in the wind, you stupid fucking bum, da-da-da-da-da. And it nailed those buttons. Because he came back like the alien. If you remember, I
You
tried
get rid of him, you go to close. I was just saying
and
that
he
today.
comes back.
The most unbelievable thing of that is the jobber comes back and steps on your closing line.
Yeah.
Because he was that
and
pissed.
He was pissed. And the only reason we got the closing line was it was hot off the camera.
Right, the mic on the camera.
Yeah, the mic on the camera. But, and everybody else, you got to understand, like, whatever the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen back there were watching on the monitor, you know, with Gorilla Monsoon going, what the fuck is he doing? Yeah, you want me to go in there and do what? That's how, and everybody's going, oh, sure, I'll do one. And that was the attitude. Yeah. And the fact that Frankie Williams came back, you can't figure that one out. The way he did it, and doggone it, everyone was a shoot. You know, sometimes if it was like, I wanted to say something about you and a girl, it'd be you and your girlfriend, no family.
Right.
You know, but anything else, God help you if you've done something. All
Frankie
over.
didn't know what was coming.
I didn't either.
Gorilla didn't. Nobody did.
No.
Nobody even. I know nobody tells you what to do, but they didn't even say anything. Like, you can put your hands on this guy. You know, like
Sure.
nobody tells you anything like that before that segment.
Nothing.
Okay.
Because I said, give me a bow tie and a mic stand in 5 weeks, I'll get the job out of here. I don't know why, because TV was every 3 weeks.
Right, you
so
tape
I
three,
guess
and then
I was
you're
giving
off three,
myself
yeah.
2 TVs maybe. I'm not sure why I said 5. It was at 15.
But now, why did you hit him?
Why did I hit Frankie?
Yeah.
That's a psychology issue. Okay, so interviews became very layered, and also beats per action, and you all layer this in. So once you get in there and it becomes real, like Frankie Williams all of a sudden goes, what? Right. Okay, you got to stay in here, and it's a scary place to stay, but because then it keeps going, and I'm looking at him, and I can see he ain't going, and so I know I need to lay on him a little bit. And whatever's going to happen, but at least I got him, as opposed to trying to come back here and, oh, I'm sorry, and play the chicken, oh, I didn't mean, no, fuck you. Mm-hmm. And it also set a precedence because I changed the forms of interview from listening to Dick the Bruiser and Super Billy Graham, all fantastic, outranked me, every one of them. But they would say, I'm going to rip your lungs out, I'm going to, but they never did it. Mm. So I found out, don't ever say anything in an interview that you don't back up in the ring. And that gives you a credibility that's second to none. So with Frankie, when he wanted to get all mad at me, oh really?
All right, it's got to get to the next place.
And then when he came back, we really picked it up and boom, tag.
That looked like a little stiff knee lift.
A little bit.
So now take me behind the curtain after this.
Holy cow, you could have heard a pin drop.
Specifically Frankie's, he waiting for you?
No, he's got a towel around his neck, and he's like, what the fuck was that kind of thing going on? And even Gorilla, it was quiet. It was, it was horrible. And I guess, they finished the TV. They finished the TV, and then they had a meeting after, and Vince went nuts.
On you?
No, went, sign him, do it, roll with them.
Because this is still your trial period, right?
Yeah, the 5, okay. And so they go, oh man, boom, roll with it.
You're on the card that night, so you may remember it
Holy cow.
vaguely. Orndorff's got a bit of that whole bipolar split personality. You don't know who you're getting that day kind of thing, huh?
He's a tough man.
Yeah.
We used to call him Man of War. And you had to go toe-to-toe with him. You couldn't back off.
Right.
He, you know, in the first, what started WrestleMania, people forget, was a War to Settle the Score. So after War to Settle the Score, you know, it was like, the way I found out, I was walking down in Poughkeepsie. I was just walking down the hallway with somebody and somebody said, "Hey Piper, you fight Mr. T?" I said, "Yeah." And I just kept going. I was going to the bathroom. And I said, "Yeah." And that was it. I didn't hear any more about it. Till, you know, it's not like that. It's not like this big, you know why? I'll tell you why. Because then they got to pay you more money. It's only as big as you make it. Hey, you want a box T? Or well, fight, not at that time box. Want to fight T-shirt? And it meant nothing. You paying me? Why'd you ask, dumbass?
Who says it to you? Who throws it out while you're walking by?
George Scott.
Okay.
George Scott, who didn't like me.
Who thought that he was going to be good enough on the stick to make him a mouthpiece?
Well, that's Morocco. You know, Uncle Fuji and Master Fuji. There was a big clique system back then. And there was like the Hawaiian clique, Hawaiian Samoan clique. There was like the
French-Canadian guys.
French-Canadian clique.
Italians.
There was like, the Italians. There was like the, just a second. I love them so much. Gorilla Monsoon and Arnold Skolin. You know, and these were very, very strong cliques. Whoosh. But I wasn't in a clique. I could go to anyone because I
bounce around.
Yeah, because they all saw me as a kid. They knew I wasn't a stooge.
Right.
And yeah,
And so Fuji was in that Polynesian clique.
Oh, huge, yeah. And so it was important, and they have the, you know, take care of Brother Fuji. They had done, how much of this you want to know? Let me see. Their action was, Vince Sr. was a good man from this perspective. He called you, you called him. He said, come in for 6 months and get yourself booked, and I'll put you through this course. You'll make this much money and you're out. And see you again. That's a hell of a thing, knowing what's going on. But by the time he had passed on, I was at the actual meeting where, I don't know, you guys want to hear this?
Don't know yet. Go ahead.
So, the Allentown, Harrisburg, they're trying to get all of us to sit down about like 11:30 in the morning. You know, some guys are in can, whatever. You know, Andre was trying to get some wine to open his eyes. Like, could we get you seated? You know, yeah, fuck you. And you know, by about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I gotta be careful, but just tell you the truth. So here's the ring, boom, and here are all the animals. And there's Vince Jr. facing us 10, 15 feet to his left is Barnett and Senior. So Vince opens up. Well, I suppose you know why we called you here. And I think it was George the Animal says, yeah, we come here to wrestle. What are you doing here? And Junior got embarrassed. He lost it, and his face went flush. And this is a magic moment, man. All of a sudden, like Don Morocco's ears, Fuji's, my ears, anybody that's like, what's going on? We got him. We're wrestling. What are you doing here? We're on an equal, and as we're feeling this, Vince McMahon Jr. goes, well, then if there's no more further questions, he's no. Tony Atlas puts up his hand. There's me, Morocco, there's Atlas. Yes, Tony? Excuse me, Mr. McMahon. But every night, I gets me an advance from Arnie. But at the end of the week, my check ain't so big. Now, I'm gonna put my hand over like this. Morocco looked at him, the room silence, and he goes, sit down, you stupid nigger. I was there. Vince McMahon saw it and turned it around to basically, well, 2 + 2 is 4. We had him. 10 seconds. I get an advance.
Now, Vince Jr., who's normally not known to show weakness, is he rattled by the passing of his father visibly to the other workers?
No, I think, very respectfully, I think this. I think that his dad had suffered with the disease. Vince, by that time, was ready to roll. His dad might have had a few maybe not want to go all the way with it, or so in a way, it gave him a clean slate to do Vince what he wanted to. And I'm sure if he won his daddy another 10 years, that would have been great too. But at the time, you know, it's funny how nature goes, and okay, now I'm Vince, let me roll. And it also, for the industry, there was never, you couldn't pass the buck anymore. Kinda, you couldn't play a good cop, bad cop. Although, you know,
right.
They figured it out later, but.
Do you think Senior really wasn't aware of the intentions of Vince to?
Oh, he was aware.
To the extent, yeah.
He is aware, but there was certain, as with Atlanta, the guy that owns the Chicago Tribune was the other guy, and there was certain no-nos. And so it got confusing. Like, okay, I'll work against everybody else but this guy. Well, I'll work against everybody else but that. And it had to, it had to happen.
Why there? You're working at it.
Was that TNT?
Yeah. Why that spot?
Because
that's kind of off the loop for you guys.
Yeah, must have got a good price on the ring.
Probably that.
I remember, whoa, man, it's crazy.
But it's tailor-made for you. A show like this, really, all the pieces came together to help Hot Rod shine. This was perfect for you.
It's a great show. The doctor examining the bone, going, and Vince.
Yeah, Bob's arm. Yeah.
Oh, baby Jesus.
How about for that? Would they tell you beforehand what you were going to talk about with Vince when you were
Not
a guest?
a clue. No.
Really? Wow.
No, you're so involved in it. When you're a pro and you do it for a living, you're so involved in it. You just know. You're everything that you're doing. If I'm doing something for myself, I'm making sure that it fits within the parameters of what's going on with everybody else. So if somebody else is wearing a green T-shirt, I'm not going to pop on a green T-shirt,
Gotcha. And now that takes a lot of trust, though, because if I'm the producer of something like Tuesday Night Titans, I'm Vince, and I know I could give you the ball and it's going to be fine. But let's say Tony Atlas. might need more guidance of Tony. We're going to need you to come out. We're going to talk about bodybuilding. I want you to pick up the weights and do. He would need more hand-holding, wouldn't he?
Absolutely. With Tony, KISS, keep it simple, stupid. And
I just pulled his name because we talked, but it could. I'm sure a few guys that need
strong boy. But he, really, he's got that laugh. Let me also, so there's no lack of respect. With Tony Atlas is very simple. He's a big, strong, black guy that likes to laugh.
And likes to have women walk on his face.
And, oh, cow. Walk. No, baby. Stomping.
Yeah. We had Tony here.
stilettos.
That was a fun one.
I bet you, but he's got that market covered as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, he's about the only one.
Yeah, righty then.
Al Hayes as the sidekick.
Al Hayes, my goodness.
Perfect fit for that kind of, as the straight man for Vince's ribs and jokes.
Alfred Hayes, I loved him. He never swore. He taught me the piano. He taught me where to put the fork. He taught me about England and Scotland, and he would correct my grammar. We would talk about Shakespeare. He was a real lord, whatever that means in England. I'm not saying I'm just saying he was a real lord over there. He was a skilled European round style wrestler, and he just had a little bit of a nudge for young gals, Other than that, he's bravery beyond belief, never swore. Remember one time, we're in some club, a bunch of big guys, and they're playing pool. So Alfred Hayes come up and he put down, I don't know, like it's 2 quarters or something, whatever. And they finish their game and they just go in and Alfred goes, "No, it's my turn first, sir." And this guy, he says, "No, sir, it's my." He wouldn't back up. He didn't swear. He wouldn't back up. Boom, like Sarge and I are watching, like, just we dare you, And he took, he taught me in this dysfunctional family. He taught me honor. He taught me class.
He was a gentleman.
He was a gentleman.
Other than dropping his dick all over the place and chasing you all over. Other than that, gentleman.
And the span of years from that, there's probably 11 years from just jumping with his dick to him educating me to the world.
Who came up with the skits that you guys would do? The kind of the silly, they had Fuji, Vice, and was there any kind of formal writing system, or is this stuff you guys would suggest?
They wanted me to be Scrooge, Ebenezer Scrooge.
I remember that one, yes.
I just improv. They just go, and the guy, and I just improved it. I had a plane to catch, and can we get this at 1? And we were pretty good in the ones, and there was. Other than, here's the girls, and they're going to call on the door, and you're Scrooge, and go. That was kind of it. They never really ever tried even to script me.
I was going to say, there's never a script.
No. Or even, there might be a suggestion. There's don't break down the walls. I did a Halloween skit one time where I put a bowling ball in
Gave it
Stephanie.
To the kids.
Yeah, it was Stephanie.
Oh, it was Stephanie, yeah, right.
It was Stephanie. Jeez, I own the company. Damn it, man.
Now,
really?
this, I first want to say, this was taped on March 28th, and it airs on June 9th. Why is there 3 months in between the taping of this and the airing of this?
Really?
Yeah. It was taped on 3/28 in Hamburg. They didn't put it on TV until June 9th.
Well, I tell you something.
With one exception. Actually, I have something on this. Well, in St. Louis, they aired it on St. Louis TV only? And you went down and did a match with Jimmy right after it happened. They aired it there, and then didn't put it on for the rest of the world. Is it to test how you and Jimmy were going to be together?
No, because we had worked in Portland.
Okay.
I tell you, man, I hit that guy, and his eyes rolled. I don't know if you get a man hit hard enough, his eyes roll. That's a bad sign. And as much as like I'm doing what I'm doing, I take the belt off. You know, that's more humiliation than, because I killed this fucker. And I didn't have to say it that way. And so I killed this guy. And like 2 completely different dressing rooms. And I was told when he got to the other dressing room, he just stared. And like nobody ever took nobody to the hospital back then. It just didn't happen. And like 20, 30 minutes. And then and you know, he's never been the same. I got into, he just.
You think he was humiliated, legit?
Yes.
By that is what you're saying?
Yes, and I would have to fight him in hotel lobbies. Like, I think it was either St. Louis or Chicago, about 2 o'clock in the morning. Here he comes charging, here we go again.
He's shooting on you in a hotel lobby after this angle?
Well, this one was like, you know, you go up in the elevator and...
In the hallway,
or
whatever.
In the hallway, yeah.
I mean,
not once.
it affected him that much.
Not once.
But it was work.
No, that coconut kicked the shit out of.
No, I mean, but what you guys were creating, the feud
I see what you're saying.
was
Well,
the stew, that magic.
Okay. Here's what's got to be understood, is when Hogan came, they could not get Hogan over Snuka. The people loved Snuka, period. And so what they did was, there was some other alleged stuff that I don't know anything about. But what they did with Jimmy was they put Jimmy, they ran him hard, and then they put him in a cage match in Madison Square Garden with Don Morocco. Mm-hmm. And they had Jimmy, right to the top of the cage, and he's standing. And then he squats down, his little monkey toes hold on the cage, and then he stands up, and then he like goes back, how a swan dive back, looks down at the brother, down, and leaps in the air, like, seriously, and cameras, bop, 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 and whoa. And
It made him.
Killed him.
Think?
He lost the match. Morocco got out of the door.
Yeah.
They had him do his best stuff. Lost the match. Got Hogan. Give him out to Piper. Piper wear him down. Take care of him. That's fact.
Before he goes out to do the pit, obviously you know there's going to be an altercation because there's the stuff is there, the coconuts, the bananas, the whole thing.
Yeah. Go ahead, sir.
You go for the ethnic thing, as Piper does sometimes.
Yeah.
Is Jimmy aware of what you're going to say, A, and B, is he aware he's going to take the shot?
Jimmy's not aware of what I'm going to say at all.
Okay.
I must admit it was kind of weak because what I said was, go to the store and get me stuff from Fiji. That was the basic neutral order. And bananas, pineapples, and coconut. And like, okay, banana, monkey, I can do that. I'm going, pineapples. And it was really weak. Like your women, round in the middle, furry on top, whatever. And I don't know 100% for sure. I'm not sure if I ever had a coconut in my hand before then. I'm not from this country. They have no coconuts. They don't even ship them in. Why bother? But I mean, I don't know, sir. I don't know. But I do remember this. Like it was all in the bag.
Yeah.
Taking out that first coconut and going like, holy shit. Almost a shift from what I was doing, kind of like, holy shit, you know how heavy this is?
That it's hard, yeah.
And just like, and heavy.
Yeah.
Like it was, it's solid, and when it hit the table, now here's the bridge to it. Is this is Chief Jay Strongbow. He called me Rodney. I hate that name. Rodney.
Called you Rodney?
Rodney, yeah. Dick Slater started it. My name's Roderick. Rodney's for other people. And not that there's anything wrong with Rodney.
Yeah, all the Rodneys out there.
Yeah. Rodney, why don't you hit him in the head with that coconut? At the time, the very first when I heard it, and now we're about a half hour away. It's been sitting down there. I don't know. Stupid. Even having a coconut, this dumbass. That was my first take on it. I don't know why, but like you're unbelievably busy. I got matches going through at that time. I got like 4 guys, Orndorff, Orton, Morocco, Fuji, intertwined with fits, and so you're rolling fast. And while I was doing it, hey, did you talk to Jimmy? Yeah, it's fine.
This is Chief saying it's
This
fine.
is Chief Jay Strongbow. Now, as much I love you, Jimmy, but you got the same answer for how you doing, Jimmy? You know, brother. How was the funeral? You know, brother. How was the wedding? You know, brother. I guess you know.
You're gonna have to make it interesting, aren't you, Roddy?
That's bottom line. Do something.
Yeah.
Now, I started dropping them on the table, and whatever I was saying, it's not what my mind, I'm kind of like, baby Jesus. But behind me, the guy's going 30 seconds, 15 seconds, get your shit together. And I know this is going to sound stupid, but the way I allowed myself to do it was I looked up at Jimmy's head, and across his head he's got these like seashells.
The headband, yeah.
That's a head guard. And there was pressure, and pow, it just exploded.
Do you know if Chief gimmicked the coconut at all?
No, man. I don't even. Like if they've tried to do it since, and like they saw them. They break into like 4 pieces, or just try to take a coconut. Right. And so, okay, how are we going to get this coconut to smash like that, right? Well, you can saw the mother, but it's going to smash into 4 parts. Just give it a shot sometime. It was the coconut of the universe.
Is it Jimmy that decides to take down the whole set,
Yeah.
or did you tell him destroy my?
No. That it wasn't that calculated.
Okay.
I'll tell you just a second. I forgot this. This was the second time Jimmy was on the pit, and the first time he was on the pit, I talked and I had him back under the premise of, oh, you want to say something. I forgot that.
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead and say. So I needed a button, and I had painted myself into a corner, and boom, and and there we are. And I don't know.
Did Jimmy expect? He may have expected the coconut because of what Chief said. Did he expect the whipping?
Oh no. No, because when the set went down, it exposed the fact like we were in a meat house and there was 2 meat packers pulling on a pell mell and a dolly. Like, what the hell's going on here? Who's the guy with the dress beating up the Fijian guy? I don't know. We got to go.
So you saw him down there and you saw that as an opportunity.
Yeah, well, more than an opportunity, are you alive? Because I can do a lot with a belt on your meaty parts, but like, holy shit, I didn't know where to go from there.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, down, and okay. What do? There's a TV code, and don't forget there's a fence with kids, people screaming. This over here, cameramen rushing in. Here come a cameraman from here. It's like, so you want me to keep going here, and it's like, might as well keep rolling with it. Can't stop.
Though they didn't plan the specifics of it, did they at least tell you, based on what you do today, you guys are going to have a program?
Oh, yes. They wanted me to work a program with Jimmy after the the dive and stuff.
When you ran and locked yourself in that door, what was that door to?
This is the truth. That door was my dressing room, along with a lot of other guys. But it was a big, I don't know what kind of big building with big steel doors. And the door, wait a second. The door opened towards you. When I got back, that door, it opened when you're in the dressing room, opens towards you. When I got back in that door, I put my shoulder against the door and the wall was right there, and my foot against the wall because I knew I was in, boom. It's like the indentation of a Fijian.
It's a good thing he never tried the knob. I don't know if you watched this. It's a good thing for you he never tried the knob.
I didn't even,
I had him Fijians.
yeah.
Let's take Cindy and Lou. True, they met on an airplane ride, and that was the genesis of the discussion to be in the video? For Albano to be in the video.
Yeah, David Wolf, her manager, was a huge wrestling fan, as was Cindy, and I think that they were a fan of Captain Lou. And Cap at that time had the rubber band and stuff going on, and Cindy with the girls want to have the hair kind of orange and blonde, and she was hot. A lot of people, she doesn't get enough credit. She was she was huge to the winning of WrestleMania. She was huge.
But at this early point where it's just her early appearances on there, sometimes with celebrities we talk about, we hear that they either get it or they don't get it about wrestling.
Yeah.
Come in with a bit of an attitude, look down on it, or they get it and they know what they got to do. Did she get it?
Yeah, right away. And her boyfriend, right away. Boom, and loved it.
Did you like Dave Wolf?
I did like Dave Wolf, and we did some business, but we had a horrible falling out. It was a really tough time. Dave Wolf was the one who was instrumental in getting me They Live, the movie. I don't know if I've ever told anybody that one. But we had a falling out and haven't spoken since, only because we haven't run across each other. I would love to shake his hand and say hello.
Is it he that picks you to be involved in this whole thing?
Whoa. I think that that part was, well, you had the Piper's Pit that was just a fit for her to come on, like going for it. But you had to go back to the office, being Vince, and say, well, who? Because Hogan was the guy. So, like, whoever we want to mess with this whole piece of business, we want to come out at the end of it with Hogan. So we got to be smart enough to, there's a Orndorff, Orton, Schultz, who's it going to be? Okay, who can handle the job? Him, and then it goes from there.
Wolf is an outsider to the wrestling business. Who's allowed in to make some creative decisions, like when he grabbed that video camera, if this is true, and ran out and said, let's shoot some promos real quick for WrestleMania. I think the ones where you're training and you're on the street, like he was kind of involved in putting those things together.
Yes.
Very rare that an outsider gets to step in behind the curtain. I guess because he's Cindy's boyfriend, it's a little easier. They want Cindy for the draw, but he was respected in some way.
Yeah, Vince didn't like him.
Oh, he didn't?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
Wasn't respected by Vince.
No. But he had good ideas, and he had a positive heart, Dave Wolf. And he also was Cindy's manager.
Yes.
And so he was giving his blessings for Cindy to be on Piper's Pit. And I think that Dave Wolf once saw the lineup, probably thought that with the kilt and the whole thing, girls just want to have fun and maybe the best fit.
Did you get along with Cindy personally?
Yeah, I never had a problem with Cindy. A little problem.
You hesitated.
Yeah, a little problem, but we resolved that.
You subsequently go into music videos with her and then the Goonies videos. So,
yeah.
So there must have been a simpatico. Respect you as the performer that you are.
Yeah, I did a commercial for her that she was in, that she directed also. later on, and then I on Raw. It was, I don't know what it was. It was something where I gave her an award. Not, you know, it was last year or so, but we've become more. She considered me like a womanizer.
As a shoot, really?
Yeah, yeah, you know. And,
Just you, huh? In that locker room?
yeah, I guess, I don't know, like, you know, you think every woman wants to be with you, you know, and she was ringing me out one night, but you know, the truth of the matter is, she's a wonderful lady, really is, and the amount of MTV at that time with the War to Settle the Score, I think came out with a 9 share or a 9-1, the highest, I don't know, forever for them or at that time. And all these celebrities, I had Geraldine Ferrara, who was running for vice president. Roddy, you're not fit to wear a dress. Twisted Sister, Rod Stewart, Little Richard hands me a Bible as I'm coming in. Yeah. Adam's supposed to be with Eve, not Steve. You know, that's a true story, man. Andy Warhol taking pictures of my feet.
Yeah. I know this is going to be tough for you to talk about, but do it in whatever way is comfortable for you. It becomes apparent to a worker that it's time to bleed. Is there such a thing as going too far with it? When is it something that should be used? Is there a time in the match where you're like, this is it, I got to get my color now? Take me through the process of bleeding.
There's a lot of different theories on that, and there's one huge drawback. The real old timers, they just like to be busted open. Then you take the hair and you grab the hair tight and you slap down over the eye. Depends how much money you're making, I guess. So I guess the actual way that it's got is a little irrelevant to the questions. But like we'll take, let's take Ric Flair in a championship match against Jack Briscoe, and it came back and it went an hour through, and this is the rematch, and it's in their Kiel Auditorium in 45 minutes. Briscoe's been getting the dog kicked out of him, boom, and the world champion Ric Flair gets busted open and he starts bleeding. The caliber of match happens, that brings a reality and a heightening of senses to the crowd and to the wrestlers that definitely increase the entertainment value, because it increases your adrenaline and things are getting more serious, because there's no such thing as fake blood that I know of anyway. Now, when is the right place to get something like that?
Yeah.
Again, in let's take a couple that we use Ric Flair as an example. Let's use Abdullah the Butcher. See, this is where they're at the 45-minute, coming back off of the 60-minute Broadway, 60-minute time limit. Then at the 45-minute in the next match, all of a sudden your hero gets the world champion bleeding, and he's trying to pin him. It's not about trying to make him bleed more. It's about trying to pin him, and if he bleeds a lot while doing that, that's okay. You've done that, but you're trying to pin him. With Abdullah the Butcher, what you're doing is trying to make him bleed more, or vice versa. There is no, other than running out of blood, there is no win to it. When, especially down in the South, what happened was the matches themselves had been repeated so many times that getting color was a slang for it. Getting color was almost necessary for the crowd to go home feeling like they got everything. If you're looking at pro wrestling from the artistic standpoint and from the purist, then it works real well in a very hard-fought battle between two guys that have wrestled superiorly with each other and are real close, and all of a sudden, whoops, and something happens. That's drawing money. That's drawing money. Going out there and abduling it is ruining it and killing the business off, and I don't want my kids seeing that. It's too much.
Who showed you how to do it the right way? So you don't.
Well, I don't know
fuck
that
yourself
there's a right one right way. Different guys all have had different ways. You know, some that have something in their mouth or on their wrist, or maybe get a pass. And some just like carried it on some part of the body that was easy for them.
What about cutting the gig, choosing a gig? I mean, that's all stuff that someone's got to tell you as a young worker.
Yeah, the very first time it happened, actually, the only time, well, let's see, the time that I was actually directed to this is what's going to go on, I was maybe 16, because I was working for Paul Bosch, and there was a guy named Jack Lanza with the claw, and I think he was going to go against Fritz, and so they put me in there and had me get squashed with the claw, and it made me bleed. Now, they were way up on the food chain. When those boys came back, those gentlemen came back, they said, "Hey, kid, what a kid." They said, "Thank you so much," boom, 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 because when you got white meat like that, they doubled the house. That's good business. You know, I got a guy that's eating donuts, just, there's no art there. Wrestling is one of the greatest arts. Someday people are going to realize this. It's all psychology. So, again, with the days of come on slugger, and I've been to boxing matches where boom, and the blood flies into your lap, and boom. We have so much of that in movies and etc., where the first reality show ever in the world wrestling needs to lay off that, because it makes us different than them, and it's good.
Now, at a time where Vince is tearing through all the territories and undoing the NWA, basically, Lou Thesz appears as a guest on the show and talks about his storied history in wrestling. How does this happen, do you know?
I wrestled Lou Thesz. Yeah. You see, about this time period, everybody's scrambling. All the independents are scrambling. Wow, they weren't called. All the territories were scrambling. The alliance was scrambling, and nobody really knew where they were going to leave off. It's an extremely smart move on Vince's part, because in putting Lou there, it's the same thing as putting Brock Lesnar there now. And to have Lou talk about his storied history, then it becomes, it makes the WWE more solid. For instance, again, it was Hulk Hogan versus Roddy Piper versus Chavo Guerrero, and then all of a sudden, those guys are still drawn, but you just slap on WWF. And you go, oh, and there's Lou Thesz. And so there's a credibility that comes with that. And he can go back and review it. And oh, when Mr. Thesz, one of the world's greatest, was on our show. And so it's all part of a campaign of building and who you're associated with.
It's rumored that Vince wants Backlund to dye his hair, turn heel, and have a run against Hogan for the title. It never materializes. Backlund is gone soon thereafter. First of all, have you heard this?
I've heard some different things about when Hogan was coming in and Backlund had the strap, you know.
Did Vince view Bob as your daddy's WWF, not the new WWF? Like, was he kind of the old guard in Vince Jr.'s mind?
No. I think that Bobby is a wrestler and a great one. And Vince was selling show business. And I believe he said to Bobby that you don't have enough charisma as the reason. And whether they wanted to turn him heel and do that, the way that strikes me, because I do not know the answer, but as being in the business, the way that strikes me is, hey, listen, bud, I got a great idea. Why don't you turn heel, drop the vote to Hogan, turn heel, and then we'll shuffle you off to Buffalo. You know,